Hey guys, got another knife review for you today, and I just want to start this one off with a little shout out to weaponseducation.com. And Tom has a great YouTube channel, and I actually won this knife in his 2011-2012 New Year's giveaway. And that was a very generous giveaway. He gave away a lot of cool stuff, and I was lucky enough to win this knife. So if you haven't checked out his channel, definitely do that. He's a great guy, very generous, and he puts out some pretty high quality videos. So definitely check him out. So this knife is the Cold Steel Voyager XL, and I love it. It's primarily, how I see it, it's just going to be a primary weapon for you. You know, if you're somebody for whatever reason that doesn't carry a handgun as a concealed carry permit holder. You know, maybe you live in a location where you can't get a concealed carry permit. Maybe you're too young. You're under the age of 21. You're still a responsible civilian, but you're not quite old enough to get to carry the handgun. This could be a good option. Also, maybe if you're just somebody who carries a handgun regularly, but there's just some locations where maybe you can't carry a handgun, but you could carry a knife. So that's pretty much how I see it. It's not really a survival knife. I think maybe some people have talked about it in kind of those terms. Just go with a fixed blade if you want, an outdoors blade. Not really collectible or anything like that. Pretty much just a formidable weapon, and it excels at that. So getting into the blade on here, it is made out of AUS 8A steel. I like that steel. It holds the edge very well. It comes razor sharp out of the box, and the only real downside I've ever had with AUS 8 is just that it can rust if it's left in kind of humid or moist conditions too long. So if you're worried about that, just leave a little oil on the blade, and you shouldn't have any problems with it. The blade shape on here, this is the Tanto version. They also make a clip blade version, and generally, if this was an everyday carry knife or utility knife, I would probably go with the clip blade, but seeing as it's a defensive knife purely, I went with the Tanto for a few reasons. First of all, it slashes really, really nicely because of that secondary point right there, and it has a very strong tip on there, very strong point. It's just a very nice fighting blade, and so I really like the Tanto for that. As you can tell, it is hollow ground, which is nice because it takes it to a very sharp edge, which will really slice well, but it also leaves some of that strength in the blade, some just good hard stock right there. And so that'd be really useful if you're using this for maybe not for more of a defensive role, but maybe you're just carrying this and there's somebody trapped in a car, whatever scenario you can imagine, and you just need to use this like as a pry bar. This would leave a lot of rigidity and strength in that blade that you could go prying or doing something with the blade if you had to. So I like that it's a very strong blade. This is a combo edge version. Generally, again, I prefer plain edge stuff, but for this kind of role of this tool, I do like the serrations on there because I can kind of saw through thick rope or something if I have to, get through netting if I need to, and this isn't a blade that I'm really going to be using a lot, so I don't really need to worry about sharpening those serrations. And that's my biggest complaint with serrations, is that generally they rip and tear at stuff and they're hard to sharpen. Well, in this, I'm not too worried about that. Ripping and tearing in a fighting knife is not too bad. So, I do like that. Now, you'll notice it is chisel ground, so that there's no, no edge ground on this side. It's just ground like that. I'm not sure if that's because this is the combo edge version and they just chisel ground the whole thing, or if that's because, they're all that way. I'm pretty sure the clip blade version is not chisel ground. So, that's maybe another thing to consider. But that chisel grind is a very robust grind, and they have a nice large relief edge on there. I like that. So overall, it's a really well designed blade. Your opening mechanism on here is it was a thumb stud, and so it looked like this, and very well designed thumb stud, works well. It's just a screw, you just screw it through the hole. And the only reason I took it off was because I carry this inside the waistband. So I just slip it inside the waistband just like you would a handgun or whatever else, and then I just clip this clip to my pants, and it's ridden very well. It hasn't moved around. It's never fallen out. It retains very nicely. It's very comfortable too, and So that's just how I carry it, but when I do that, the thumb stud's kind of down in my pants, and when I'm pulling this out, I didn't want that thumb stud to snag on anything, and then maybe, you know, pop open the blade and I'd stick myself in the side with it. So that would not be a very effective defensive tool if you end up stabbing yourself in the side trying to get it out. So I took that off, and it's still pretty easy to open because there's so much weight to this blade that you can just flick it out like that. Just use the weight of the blade and just use some inertia and just flick the blade out. I also might in the future, you know, get a maybe like a 1/2-inch drill bit or something, and just try to just drill like a spider hole in there. If I do that, I might make a video showing you guys that. That would also be a nice way to get this open. I just haven't gotten around to it, so maybe look for that in the future. Now your handles on here are really nice. They're just an FRN material, and I really like the checkering they put on there. It's coarse, but it's not, you know, it's not gonna rip up your hands. And I actually like this a little better than even G10 because I feel this is more durable. G10, the grit kind of wears off after a while if you've used G10 a lot. This doesn't. This is very durable, and I really like it. It provides really nice traction, and overall the handles do just really help you lock in. It's, as you can tell, a very large handle. You can either come up here with this deep finger choil and that coarse texturing. You're not going to come up on that blade at all, or you could choke back here if you wanted to. So really nice. If you have large hands, you'll really like this. I have more medium-sized hands, and it's still comfortable for me. There's not really any meaningful jimping on the top there. They kind of put ridges in there, but that doesn't really do anything. That's all right. That deep finger choil and the texturing really takes care of it. And also on the inside there, you'll notice they have solid aluminum liners, and I really like that. It adds some strength opposed to just being solid zytel, but it's much lighter than maybe hardened stainless steel liners. These, with these in there, the knife comes in right around 7.5 ounces. So that is incredibly light. And I mean, just to put that in perspective, this the Spyderco Manix 2, which does have stainless steel liners, this is 5 ounces. Look at the size difference between these two. That is just phenomenal that they could get this under 8 ounces. So, very, very lightweight for what it is. And I really like that, especially when it's something that might be an everyday carry item, something you're going to have on your person a lot. That weight is really, really, really critical. And one other thing I forgot to mention about that Tanto blade that I like is that it's a little bit more narrow than the clip blade. The clip blade comes out a little bit more, and so for just ease of carry, I like this just a little bit narrower profile. So also, as you'll notice, this is the triad lock, and the triad lock is really something I love. It's very, very, very strong. It's really just an improved back lock, and if you're not familiar with it, basically what they're doing on there is they put in the stop pin in between your blade and your lock bar. And so all of your upward force goes into that stop pin and not into the lock bar. So it's a very, very strong lock, probably the strongest lock, you know, it probably is the closest to a fixed blade in strength as I've seen in any other lock. Definitely stronger than a frame lock or other stuff like that. I mean, just notice how deep that lock bar goes into that blade. It really sits down in there, and it's a very strong lock. I really like it. So you have mini torque spit construction on here, which is nice. You can service the blade yourself. There's absolutely no play in this blade at all. It's very, very solid. Your clip on here is well designed too. It's strong, it's blackened, I like that. It is a curved design, so it comes with another one if you wanted to put the clip on the other side. I like that they did a tip-up carry. You are stuck in tip-up, but I like that. It's how I'd prefer to carry it. And with that, it basically makes it completely ambidextrous. The triad lock, the dual thumb stud, and the clip over here, you'd be good to go as a lefty. So that's great. So the clip, the only real downside to the clip is just that it's a little narrow down here, or a little shallow. I'd prefer something more like this Benchmade clip, that just sweeps up a little more and just allows a little bit thicker material under there. I have noticed that with thicker waistbands and stuff, it's kind of hard to get that material up in through there. So a little bit taller clip would be nice, but overall it's pretty good. And you also notice you have your lanyard hole there. I did put a lanyard on there just to make it a little bit easier to get a hold of and pull it out. So overall, it's a great blade, and it's really probably my favorite large knife like this. And as far as competitive options, there's not a ton out there because there's not a lot of people making knives like this. Cold Steel, really, if you want a big, strong knife, Cold Steel is the place to go. And they do have some other good options. I do have right here the Cold Steel Raja 1. Very cool knife, and you'll notice this is a bigger blade still, but I actually prefer carrying this thing. While this definitely that kukri blade shape gives you a lot more chopping potential and everything like that, this is just heavier. It's right around 12.5 ounces, I believe. So it's just heavier, wider, and just, I don't know, in my opinion, just a little bit of overkill. I'm a smaller person, so this is a very large knife for me to be carrying, but I like this a lot better. Also, maybe the Espada series; those are good knives too. But also price-wise, this comes in right around $55. That is incredible value. All the other stuff, the Espada, the Rajas, those are all going to be at least 100 probably. So for the weight, the size, the value, I'm a big fan of this Voyager XL. So if you guys have any questions about this, feel free to leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to help you guys out. And if you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. I appreciate that. Everyone have a nice day, and thanks for watching.